So, Billboard magazine has the greatest pop stars of the 21st century, and Rihanna is number 3. And I was kind of curious, like, wait, so when they had like the artists of the past decades, like in the 2000s and the 2010s, who was Billboard's artists of the decade? So I was expecting to see Taylor and Beyonce, or Rihanna, but it was none of them. The artist of the decade was Eminem of the 2000s, and in the 2010s it was Drake. And it's interesting because on their list now, Drake is number 4 and Marshall Mathers is number 12. And it's like, well, how did that change so much since they were the artists of the decades of the past 2 decades? But I digress. So Rihanna is number 3. I've always argued she should be number 1. I think everybody loves Beyonce, right? And Beyonce is great. Listen, I love Beyonce since No 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 parts 1 and 2. So I've been there from the very beginning, and I really like Cowboy Carter, and to me it should be album of the year. So this is not a bashing Beyonce type situation, but I always felt, as far as consistency, there's never been a debate of any Rihanna's album. She has never made a bad album. Her weakest album might have been her first album, and that was like back in 2005. And on that album you had Ponder Replay and Please Don't Stop the Music, and those were solid tracks. So there was that streak between that debut album up to Anti where she did not miss. And she came through a time period which I liked. It's a time period of Black Eyed Peas and Flo Rida, where you had hip hop and R&B stations that wouldn't play certain songs by certain artists. So the Black Eyed Peas, most of the songs that were played, especially with Fergie, was played on pop stations. It wasn't played on hip hop. Most of them weren't playing on hip hop and R&B stations. Same way in Flo Rida. Flo Rida had a bunch of songs we still hear today, but a lot of it wasn't played on hip hop and R&B. And Rihanna was kind of in the middle of that, where some of those songs were played on hip hop and R&B stations, but songs like We Found Love or Only Girl in the World, which were dance tracks, a lot of hip hop and R&B stations, some played them, but a lot of them didn't. But she was in the middle because they would play like Umbrella and SOS and things like that. But it's almost like I enjoyed the fact that she feels like, no, I'm going to make the music that I love. Now, if they play it on these stations, fine. If not, Pop will play me. People can hear it on YouTube, on MySpace, wherever was around at that time. But I like the fact that she chose artistry over trying to fit into a bubble. Now, when she first came out, she was cute. You had Sierra, you had Alicia Keys, you had A. Marie. You had a lot of attractive women making cool R&B music back then. But if you would have told me that Rihanna would become like the number 3 greatest pop star ever, I would have never saw it from Ponder Replay. But once we got to that second album and she dropped Umbrella just rocketed her to superstardom. And to me, like, Umbrella was a good single. It wasn't my favorite songs. And even when you look at this list, most of my favorite Rihanna songs is on this list. So SOS is really good. Live Your Life, I think with T.I., man, that was great. Rude Boy's fantastic. Rude Boy might be my favorite Rihanna song. Take it, let me love you. Love the Way You Lie with Eminem. Only Girl in the World, I mentioned that before. We Found Love, I mentioned that before. Diamonds was great. And Work. Work might be one of my top 3. Work. And again, it's the simplest probably of the Rihanna lyrics, but it's just a fun track. Like, her and Drake were really a lot of fun together. And some of the songs that's not on here that I liked Consideration. That's the first time we heard the name SZA. And that track was amazing just because I wasn't sure like who was Rihanna and who was SZA at that point, because I didn't know what SZA looked like. And plus they never made a video for it, I don't think. But man, Consideration, that Anti-album should have won Album of the Year. It's amazing to me that she's never won Album of the Year. Like, how is this possible that this woman can be so great and not win Album of the Year? It's amazing to me. Another song that's not on here, All the Lights with Kanye. That's one of those songs, man. It kind of gets you going. Like, it's like Drake's Trophies. It kind of gets you going, and you got all those colors going off. That's like peak Ye. Oh my God, All the Lights was great. We Run This Time with Ye and Jay-Z is always great. Was I Ponderably Play? Please Don't Stop the Music's not on here. I like that a lot. Shut Up and Drive. Shut Up and Drive, there's that F1 series, I think it's on Netflix. Shut Up and Drive should have been that theme song. It's just, again, it's just one of those, she was great of making songs such as if you need to work out or you just relieve some stress, it's just a good party song. It just kind of gets you going, right? And one song that's not on here is, Be Better Have My Money. I am a big fan of the original Be Better Have My Money by AMG. That was back in the 90s. But I do love Rihanna's version, because Rihanna's version feels like she's like some chick looking for her cash. It's like you all like tied up someplace. You say, "Be better have my money," and you get slapped. Oh, pay me what you want me. Ah, that song came out of nowhere. It's like, are they gonna make a video for this? It's a fantastic video. I think they made like a few videos for this. Her videos was always good. The only thing that always worried me about Rihanna back then is that she made albums and went on tour. And she made albums and went on tour and made albums. Like, it was almost like nonstop. And I always felt like she's making great music, man. And I love her to death, but she needs to take a break. And she took that break following Anti. I think she toured and she took a break. And that's when she started Fenty Beauty. And I think the idea of that back then was she started Fenty Beauty, she'll take a break, and then she'll make another album. And then she'll just keep on making stuff. Man, Fenty Beauty just took off. Like overnight, that thing just took off. And then you get Savage X Fenty. You get the lingerie line, which basically knocked out Victoria's Secret. Like, Victoria's Secret was that joint. Like, Victoria's Secret, if you talked about lingerie, it was Victoria's Secret. And she knocked them out with Savage X. Now she got Fenty wigs. And I think what happened is, and it happens to a lot of artists, I think it kind of happened to Kanye too when he had Yeezys, is that you're making more money with these outside projects outside of music. A lot of times when you're a music artist, you make money, you do okay, but the bulk of your money that you're making is on the road touring. So she made a lot of money on touring, but it's very exhaustive. And she would go on these world tours that would last forever. And I'm sure when she came back home, she was exhausted. But now you're saying with this Fenty empire, she could sit at home, and then she got 2 kids with A$AP Rocky. She could sit at home and just design lingerie or come some ideas with some makeup and things like that, and work with her team that she can do on Zoom or go into the office. And she's making far more money, and mentally and physically is a lot healthier than going to the studio, going on tour, going to the studio, going on tour. So I think when that happens, you just feel like, I'm sure she said, she always says, like, I want to get back into the studio. I'm going to make another album. But that drive that she had early on is just now shifted to her cosmetic, her lingerie line. And I'm telling you this, if Fenty ever ventures into the home space, that Martha Stewart home space of bedding or sofas or cookware, if Fenty ever ventures into that brand, that you see the stuff at Macy's or you see it in Target, which now that appeals to everybody. Because the Fenty brand right now kind of appeals mostly to women. But if she ever gets into a space where she's into that home cookware, bedding, sofas, furniture type space, it's a done deal. We'll never hear from her again, music-wise. She's already a billionaire now. If she gets into that Martha Stewart type space, enjoy the music that you had, because she's never coming back. So yeah, but I do think if it wasn't for Fenty taking off back in 2017, she probably will be number one, because she still would have been making music. Absolutely, because she loved making music. But now it's different. Now she got Fenty, she got the kids. She seems to be happy in a relationship with A$AP. So shout out to Rihanna, my number one greatest artist of the 21st century. They're number 3. Tell me what's your favorite Rihanna songs. Tell me a song that I missed. And tell me if there's one Rihanna song that you will hear for the rest of your life, which one would it be? Take it, love me. So good.